Greetings, fellow citizens of Disneyland. Brickey here. Today's adventure, let's talk about the cast members. As you know, last week was a lot of news that no Disney fans wanted to hear, and news that certainly no Disney cast members wanted to hear. But let's look at the quiet part of the reopening debate. The cast members. It's the one part of the puzzle that a lot of people don't seem to be talking about. So, all the more reason to talk about it. JD has said plenty of times, Disney is ready. You give JD permission, he's opening the park tomorrow. And I believe him. I believe that JD and his staff has done what they need to do. I believe Disney as a corporation is ready to get that park open. I have heard fantastic stories about JD in particular, going around the park and really having emotional and empathetic moments with his employees, that how this news is affecting them, how it's hitting them. He could easily escape, but JD has taken a true leadership role in putting himself out on the front lines, being with the cast members and really leading by example and leading through friendship, which I think is a very commendable way to have a position like he does have. But that being said, once the park reopens and after the couple of opening days, JD will retreat to his Disney Ivory Tower, where he will stay socially distant from day-to-day operations and from day-to-day public safety concerns. And I know the local Orange County cities, the neighboring cities, they are ready for the park to reopen. They're ready for that economic recovery. They want to see the money flowing back into Orange County in the biggest way. But I also believe that the park reopening and the money flowing helps all of their individual re-election bids, right? I mean, if the city that you represent is booming, you're booming. If the city that you live in is dying, you're dying. And I know the fans are ready. This guy, he's ready. And I believe many of us are ready to play the reservation game. And I believe from a community that's been known to complain, people are ready to see the park reopen. They're ready to have patience. They're ready to play whatever game we have to do to get back in. And for the large part, I believe Disney fans, for once, are ready to not complain because we now know what it's like to have no Disneyland, and any alternative is better than the one that we have right now. So whether you're a fan that can somehow get back into the park once a week, once a month, once a quarter, once a year, once a lifetime, dependent on your AP level, your budget, or your availability, we're all ready to get back in the way that it fits into our finances and our lifestyle. But my question is, are cast members ready to get back in? That seems to be the part. We hear what Disney wants. We hear what the politicians want. We know what we want. But what about the people, the hardworking people that exist inside of that triangle, the cast members? Are the people that will be at the park, not once in a while, but once a day, ready to go back in through the gates? People that could be there 1 to 7 days a week for hours on end, and every day creates an opportunity of exposure to endless amounts of guests from who knows where. And also now being put in the task of not only creating this magical environment for us, but literally being the face-to-face sheriff of what the new not normal's rules are. Now you have to also tell people to hold their hands up, pull up on the yellow strap. I don't know how that magic works. How can I pull the strap if my hands are up? But also you have to inform people, excuse me, sir, your nose is part of your face. Excuse me, ma'am, you need to pull up your mask. Like, they also have to go in there and not only do their jobs, but act as ambassadors for the new not normal and what those rules are that now they have to delegate and enforce. It's not what they signed up for when they turned in their resumes. So the one part of the Disney conversation I'm not hearing a lot, has anyone asked the backbone of the park, cast members? Are you ready to return? It's one thing for high-powered executives and mayors that have all kinds of back-end action related to the performance of the park. It's one thing for people that are making healthy six-figure incomes with back-end bonuses to say, yes, we're ready to reopen, while they will also benefit from very far away from a reopened Disneyland. And it's one thing for me and you to want Disneyland to open for a maximum trip of 1 time a week. Oh, I hope I can get back to 1 time a week. But is it fair for me to ask my friends, the cast members, to be there 5, 6, 7 days a week? So what about the person that literally has to go to Disneyland each and every day to make a living, to support themselves and to support their family? Ask yourself at home, as much as you want the park to reopen, would you be willing to do that for $12 to $15 per hour? Now, I know there's management and engineers that work there that make double of that figure, but you always have to work yourself back down to sort of the baseline. Some folks there make just a little over $10 an hour. Would you be willing to do that, risk your health for that amount of money? It's just an honest question. For me personally, the answer is no. So I really don't know how I could expect somebody else to do it. And I don't think it's fair for many of us to just automatically expect that this part of the puzzle is just all on board with our needs as executives, politicians, or fans. They are the people inside the triangle. They are kind of trapped inside of the argument. Now, I know that Disneyland is wanting realistic opening guidelines. And the guidelines, when they can finally get some that are realistic, unlike the ones that have been floated around, those guidelines will determine an opening date. However, without an opening date, they can't contact their cast members to see where they're at with their lives. Are they ready to come back? Are they still available? Are they excited to be back? That is the unknown, the unsung hero of this whole puzzle. And Disney will also, once they have that date, have to begin negotiations with the cast member unions. That's not going to be an easy conversation to have. And many of you have taught me that through the comments that I've seen in the videos. I now understand how much the cast members and the cast members unions are really going to play into what date Disney can make. Not only will they have to be called and come back to work, but they'll have to begin a retraining progress. They'll have to learn how to redo their job. And once again, I don't think that you should overlook they're the frontline defense. They now have to do their job and enforce people that largely believe that this is all a joke and that wearing a mask is somehow offensive to their freedoms. Disney benefits from being a private property and being able to enforce a private set of rules. But unfortunately, for somebody making $12 an hour selling the churros, they're now put in a position where their whole livelihood and their job could depend on telling you that your nose is part of your face. So Disney has the capability as a corporation to get the park as beautiful as possible. And Disney makes the park, and oh, have they done an amazing job with their acreage that they have in Anaheim. But the cast members are the ones that actually make the magic. Let me explain. The last person you see when you go into an amazing attraction is a cast member. The first person you see when you exit is a cast member. Yeah, it's amazing being inside of Rise of the Resistance. It's amazing being inside of the Haunted Mansion. It's amazing being inside of Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah, it's okay being inside of Buzz's Blasters. But if that person that you see coming and going somehow sours you or gives you a non-positive interaction, that fatigues your brain. That stays with you. A bad cast member on the way in an attraction upsets you, kind of ruins the time, and a bad one on the outside was like, well, that was fun, but what was up with him? They literally are the standard of the corporation. They are the face-to-face interaction that we have. They're the one that takes all of this magical stuff around us and transfers the power of magic to us individually. The cast members are such an instrumental part of this magic trick where we, as guests, walk onto a stage so the cast members can perform their show, which is Disneyland. And I really believe that their voices should be heard in all of this. I believe that these unions and for the non-union cast members, their management, their representatives should be sitting inside of these debates. It's one thing for JD, who's been an amazing leader, to sit down and argue on behalf of Disney. It's another thing for the mayors of neighboring cities to sit down and argue on behalf of Disney. But what about the person inside of the triangle? Yes, we want to get in there, but what about these folks? Why are they not sitting at the table? Because arguably it has more to do with them on a day-to-day basis than anyone else, and arguably it has more to do with them and their health than anyone. Their health is more at risk or more there to protect, whichever way you want to look at it, than the corporations, than the cities, and then us, the fans, because their exposure is tenfold to everyone else involved, and they're not the ones sitting at the table. So I believe that their labor should be respected, and I believe their voices should be respected, and their wants and wishes should be greatly respected. Who knows? Maybe they say, we're good. I'm sure there's plenty that just want to get back to work, that just want to get back to earning. But it might be important to hear how they feel before California just assumes what their intentions are, or where on the other side of the debate, Disneyland just assumes what their intentions are. I mean, they're not just pawns in a game, they're people. I mean, wearing a mask, walking my dogs is miserable. Going into Whole Foods wearing a mask is not enjoyable whatsoever. But asking them to wear a mask 8-10 hours a day, that is way more difficult than my hour-long dog walk. And then to do that 5 days in a row, That just isn't fun living. And then, as I've said twice now in the video, having to fight with people that somehow see that this is all a joke, that this is not real, that somehow want to be the Rambo of the righteousness, that coronavirus is a joke. I mean, look, you're certainly entitled to have whatever opinion you have about the pandemic. Who knows? Maybe it's not really happening around the world and we're all the wrong ones. That's your opinion and you're entitled to it, but you're not entitled to have your own set of rules when you go onto private property. The cast members are the frontline defense. They are now the ones that will have to bear this huge responsibility. And because they're also people like you and I, they have friends, they have family, they have children, and they have to explain to their kids, well, you can't go to school, but mom can go to work, and don't worry, I will make it home safely because Mickey Mouse is protecting me. I mean, what a conversation to have with your loved ones. I mean, no, you can't go play with the kids in the neighborhood, but I can go to a place that's gonna have thousands of different people showing up each and every day. You know, not a fun conversation to have, very on brand for 2020. You know, I do read all of the comments that I get here on my tiny little channel, and I've seen this a couple of times from a couple of different YouTube users. If the cast members don't want to work, quote, hire some that will work. And I really feel like that is the epitome of selfishness. That is the epitome of privilege and being disconnected, because you're asking somebody to go someplace that is a crossroads of every demo of people and every geographic location. You're asking them to go there all the time. So occasionally when you randomly get a Tuesday off and $120 in your pocket, you can go to the park. I believe that they are one of the most important parts of the reopening process, and I believe that they are being completely underrepresented, and I believe they're just not being heard. So I think that it is very selfish for people to put their own emotional needs over these folks that have picked a career that is way more about passion than profitability. People that literally go someplace every day and work hard for each of us to live a day that feels like the American dream. People that literally take their needs, put them aside, so they can buy in to being the cast members that perform the show that is Disneyland open daily. It's a little selfish of us to think that they're just cool with it, or that they're on board with us, or that they all just want to get back to work in an environment they might not feel safe in. I know the unions will have plenty to say, and I know that's why unions exist, to protect the workforce, to protect labor, and I know the unions will do their job to represent all of their employees that pay them those union fees. And I know eventually the voices of the workers will be heard to some capacity, but I just do think that it's sad that they're not being heard right now. And I know that some people they don't care. They're fatigued, they're over it, they just want to go back to work, and to some degree, I can really appreciate that. I wish I could get to that mindset. But for those that feel left out, for those that feel isolated, I just want to let you know that I care. And I have really always looked at the reopening puzzle as you folks being one of the most instrumental parts of how this instrument will be played. I care. I know how important you are. I've always worked for myself. I've always owned my own business. I understand the importance of responsibility. I understand the importance of great customer service. And I'm always awed at how well many of you handle this experience, how you are able on a daily basis to deliver unimaginable expectations that many of your guests have, because that's the day they're taking their kids to Disneyland for the first time ever, and they expect it all to be flawless and to go on board with what their imagination of that day would be like. Those are unbelievable expectations, and you live up to them daily. So I'll tell you this, cast member to superfan, I only want to be in there if you do. You make the magic, and I'm smart enough to know that it doesn't work without you being in a PMA, positive mental attitude. And I really hope that you don't feel forced to make a mistake, that you don't feel forced to just do what everybody else is telling you that you have to do. I hope that you feel that you have a say, and that say will be heard. And everyone, after the last 6 months of 2020, deserves a trip to Disneyland, but you deserve even more. I've read many of your comments on my videos, and I want to let you know that I sincerely appreciate all the cast members that watch my content. It's amazing to me that you guys are in the dark, just like all the super fans and mid-range fans. It's sad to me to know that you guys are just literally reading the OC register just like me every morning, hoping to see where the future is going. But when you do comment, I do really enjoy getting your unique perspective, because I appreciate you and the hard work that you do. And I have nothing but respect for Disney cast members because it's been proven to me time and time again, the Disney cast members will work hard with you to make sure your dream can come true, regardless of how silly that dream is. And this is the guy that rode the Disneyland Tram 116 times in one day because I just wanted to set a stupid record. And the cast members were amazing in helping me achieve that goal. They were a team that worked with me. There's someone that understands eventually you'll be stuck loading my dumb ass on the stretching room into the Haunted Mansion. I just want to let you know that there are people in the fan community that care about you and your safety and your voice. And consider this video for me to offer to other people to think a little bit more about you and the work that you do. Consider this video of me as an attempt to make sure that people understand that you guys deserve all of the safety, more so than anybody else, because you're the ones that will be there all the time making the park actually run. So this video is my trip to City Hall to compliment all of you on a job well done. And I hope that you're hanging in there during the pandemic and that mentally you'll be ready to go when it's time to go, and that you will feel like your voice has been heard and you have been represented. And if you're a cast member watching right now, let me just say thank you for your service. I appreciate all that you do. You are a big part of why it was so easy for me as an adult to fall in love with Disneyland. And if you're just a fan like me that's watching the video, think a cast member below. And if you're a cast member watching, comment below and people will thank you. I'd love for the comment section of this video to just become a small little chat board of saying, hey, I hope you guys feel safe. I'm excited to get back to making the magic with you. Thank you for what you do. And if you're a cast member, by all means, I always read your comments. I always try to learn from your perspective so that I can create well-rounded content that really has you guys in mind as much as us. So please, anyone who's watching, if we'd like to get this out to more and more folks to understand the balance of the cast members and why they're so important to the puzzle and why their voices should be heard, give this video a big plaid vest thumbs up. And hit subscribe to get my weekly rundown on Disneyland reopening, Disneyland news, and rumors, and just daily content looking at the fun stuff while we're waiting for the big hammers to drop. And daily drops of Disneyland news and magic. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you here tomorrow until the next time I see you at Disneyland.